Alright, let's make sure that we get back at it like we never left, right? Make sure that we get back at it like we never left. Smooth transition, smooth operator, you feel me? When did we become conscious, right? I'd say also breaking down you know, when animals became conscious, goddamn, because I feel like, you know, this breakdown is more it makes more sense when we, you know, break down when humans became conscious versus, you know, when we putting it against the consciousness of other living species, right? Like animals. You know what I'm saying? Because for the most part, that's what we've been. I'm not gonna lie to you. Let's get back to it.
Human consciousness, by contrast, is of a very different order. We don't just feel, we imagine, we plan, we create.
What else?
Our minds can turn an object into a symbol, a simple piece of stone into a tool, and a blank wall into an...
I'm not gonna lie, that's facts, you know what I'm saying? Like, transform whatever tools that we have. Saying, I'm pretty sure, like, the idea or the concept of weaponry, the reality of weaponry, you know what I'm saying, it had to transform from people using sticks and stones back to, you know what I'm saying, things like nukes. Boom. You know what I mean? Things like nukes.
Extraordinary piece of art. It's a leap into abstraction.
That is a leap, that's what I'm saying.
The ability to represent things that are not physically present. And this is what some call...
Oh, nah, that motherfucker was a gooder. Gooder alert. The thing that created this? Hey, man. Yo, first version of gooning. But he clipped that, not gonna lie.
Higher order consciousness. And it is what allows us...
What? Hey, yo, that figure had like a fish head,
action.
bro. Hold on,
The
check.
ability to represent things that
Not
are
this,
not
not this.
physically present.
Not this.
And this...
Off, dog. A lizard head or a fish head? Is that a fish face or a lizard face? But like, them things be hanging low, chick. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie.
is what some call higher order consciousness.
Bro.
And it is what allows us to conceive of time, selfhood, morality, myth, and art.
These lunar art pieces, bro.
And so
Lunar
while
figures.
bumblebees, fish, and hermit crabs may have a form of consciousness, it's very different to our own. They hint that awareness runs deeper into evolutionary history than we might have thought, but that doesn't explain when we started being conscious in a distinctly human sense.
But I ain't gonna lie, I feel like awareness is awareness across the board, dog. Eh? I feel like awareness is awareness across the board. It's the same for every species, like creation. I just think what the differing factor, what makes us kind of see ourselves as separate from all other species, because we are, right, is the mind, right? I feel like that's the phenomenon of the mind. You know what I'm saying? The mind will convince you, like, no, dog, like, yo, human beings live this way. And obviously, since the dawn of the human, that's why you are human, right? That's what makes you different, is because you conduct yourself different. You understand that, you know, you require different needs out of your environment. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, that's why you have to think a certain way. And so obviously, the mind is by default created or developed from that point onwards. You know what I'm saying? So it's the mind, like consciousness as like awareness, being aware, like just being aware of the space of creation. Like, yo, this is where we at. And you know, when now we run off of maybe instinct, I'd argue that, you know, once you run off of instinct and impulse and things like that, the primitive stuff, that's where you are like more attached to and like responding to nature. You know what I'm saying? You only get up and go eat when you feel hungry. You know what I'm saying? You're not concerned about like future generations and future wealth building and creation. It's like, you're like birds don't think like that, I would imagine, right? But lions don't think about, yo, legacy and generations that will outlive me, you know, still living off of my assets and things like what? No, we just like, as my God, it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, it's as per our hunger, then we move. Once we full, we just lay down here, we bask at the sun, that's it, that's all. I'm saying. So that's the whole like being aware of like what you gotta do, being aware of your survival, just being aware. I feel like everything has that. Just your mind, how you gotta function in your form of creation, right? That's what makes the whole difference.
When it comes to our own human lineage,
Okay.
how long has it been since we began to truly experience consciousness as we know it today?
The first mind. Whoa, wasn't that what we just broke down, brother? It's the mind. It's all in the mind. Hey, it's a mindset thing. Boom. Hey, it's a mindset thing.
Deep in the scorching heart of the Jordan Rift Valley,
What happened?
there are objects that don't seem to belong.
Seriously?
This is Ubudiyah, a place that has not been disturbed by human hands for over 1 million years.
Ooh, fat cap. Are you serious, brother?
Today, it is nothing but a small mound of dusty earth that
Okay, maybe it's because you know it's inevitable.
looks over an expanse of dry grass. But once, a huge lake would have stretched across the landscape. All kinds of animals would have lived here. Wading birds would have tiptoed through reed beds, while hippos would have wallowed in the cool water.
Yeah.
Evidence of such ancient diversity has been found in abundance at Ubudiyah: the skull of an imposing buffalo with giant horns, the bones of giraffe, deer, even the remains of mammoths. But among this menagerie of creatures was discovered something much stranger.
What? Human
For when
remains.
archaeologists excavated Ubudiyah, they found a collection of stone objects with a shape unlike anything else in the surrounding environment. In stark contrast to the jagged natural rocks and even the flaked and shaped man-made choppers, scrapers and hand axe tools that were common at such sites, there were 150 stone spheres.
Sphere.
They are made of the same kind of rock that naturally occurs here, but it's obvious, even at first glance, that these are anything but natural. Something or someone created these three-dimensional polyhedron spheroids, and not just here.
Okay, so maybe, you know what I'm saying, just maybe if like it's human trails that we are, yeah, now I'm saying concluding that these are, you know, a derivative of the fact that human activity was, you know what I'm saying, out here. The fact that humans were out here, but because it's like rocks, it's nothing but just maybe spheres. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there was just a form of weaponry, form of maybe defending themselves against something. You know what I mean? But for the fact that maybe it's no human skulls and bones. Sorry to put it that way, but like because it's not that, you know what I'm saying? It's like we can't conclude that no humans lived here, but there was some human activity here. You know what I'm saying? Where maybe they were intending on, you know, defending or attacking something. I don't know. Here, let's hear it further, right?
They are documented all across Africa, Europe, and Asia.
Yep.
But who could have made them and why? Over 1 million years ago. In 1891,
Yes.
Eugene Dubois discovered the first ever ancient hominin fossils from outside Europe.
What?
An up-and-coming academic with an unswayable passion for human evolution, he was convinced that the missing link between Homo sapiens and our ancient ape ancestors could be found in the tropics. He spent years combing through caves and digging up muddy river sites on the Indonesian island of Sumatra, but it was on Java that he eventually found what he was looking for.
What's that?
On the banks of the Solo River, at a site called Trinil, Dubois and his team unearthed a small collection of hominin fossils.
Bro?
There was a skull cap, a thigh bone, and a tooth, all from the same individual who died hundreds of thousands of years ago. Dubois called the fossil discovery Java Man, and
Java
considered
Man.
it to be somewhere between an ape and a human,
Oh.
his long-searched-for missing link.
So is Eugene Dubois one of the first people to make, or his works the contributors thinking that they come from apes or some shit. I mean, you know what I mean? Oh shit, these things, do come from a time when, it's even hard to fathom or grasp the concept of human. Bro, a million years ago, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and it's discoveries like this that make you, it just opens up a possibility for different kind of realities that used to be, right? I mean, I'm not one of the people that what this concept of, yeah, humans do come from apes, but golly, let's just keep listening, man. Maybe they cooking, right? Maybe.
Of course, we now understand that Dubois was pretty far off the mark with those assumptions.
He was far off the mark. Thank you. Boom. I was probably smoking a lot of weed. No, okay, I did say it's not him. It may be the whole people dissecting his work and his discoveries. Probably, an ambiguous conclusion shit. But like, oh, he's insinuating that people do come from apes and stuff.
In the 1950s, after more hominin fossils had been added to the record, it was decided that Java Man actually belonged to just one of many different hominin species that existed. Homo erectus, a hominin who spread across the world from roughly 2 million to 100,000 years ago. But just how human was Homo erectus? In 2014, researchers from Leiden University in the Netherlands re-examined the Java Man collection. It turned out that Dubois also found almost a dozen shells belonging to a species of extinct bivalve, a mussel-like creature that lived around 500,000 years ago. The research team, led by Josephine Jordans, noticed some markings on one of the shells that were conspicuously absent from Dubois' description of the Java Man collection. Nearly invisible to the naked eye and resembling geometric zigzags, Jordans and her team came to the conclusion that the markings weren't there by accident. Someone, 500,000 years ago, had deliberately carved them into the shell. In fact, it's thought that whoever engraved it also used the shell as a tool, because the round edges appear to have been intentionally sharpened.
Chipped away.
And so Jordan's study calls to mind the image of an ancient human, a Homo erectus, sitting on a riverbank, their brow furrowed in concentration as they carefully engrave a pattern onto a shell. Maybe they found the shell a few weeks before and decided it would make a useful tool. Perhaps they liked it so much they decided to decorate it with intricate patterns. Or maybe the markings were put there to identify it as their shell and nobody else's. But whatever the case, it's clear that at least some degree of conscious thought went into the production of the engraved shell tool.
You said it's
Some
clear?
even think that the engravings could be classed as something very human. Art. Artistic expression, as well as the capacity for symbolic or abstract thought, is thought by many scholars to be what distinguishes our own species, Homo sapiens, from other closely related hominins.
I can see that.
Making art signals the presence of a mind that can deal with symbols, not just sensations. To make or understand an artwork, you must allow a mark, sound, or gesture stand for something that is not present.
Ooh.
That leap from the concrete to the abstract is the signature of symbolic thought. It shows that people can detach meaning from the immediate and bind it to conventions that others share. But artifacts like the engraved shell from Java, which was made many hundreds of thousands of years before Homo sapiens even existed, bring that assumption under scrutiny. Indeed, if consciousness the same as our own, or consciousness that was at least very similar, existed 500,000 years ago in Homo erectus, could it be even older? And this is where we can return to the collection of spheres found in Obadiah. In 2023, a team of researchers, led by Antoine Muller from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, published a paper in the journal Royal Society Open Science, revealing that a human species intentionally shaped the 150 spheroid stones from Obadiah some 1.4 million years ago. The archaeologists found that they were not naturally formed, nor the accidental byproduct of repeated hammering. Instead, the spheroids were carefully shaped in a deliberate sequence. The archaeologists said that the stones exhibited a regularity suggestive of a deliberate intention to craft geometric shapes.
Oh, for real?
Such regularity and attention to geometry indicate that Homo erectus was capable of imagining a desired outcome and methodically working towards it. Other than these three spheroids, Homo erectus also made symmetrical hand axes, teardrop-shaped stone tools that could be used for cutting and chopping. Oldowan tools, made by earlier species like Homo habilis, were probably just as functional, but lacked the symmetric shape of hand axes.
Seriously?
And so why would Homo erectus make symmetrical artifacts?
Yeah, well, it's for their survival, bro. I would imagine it's for their survival. Like, every phase of, like, the human development needs tools for it to continue surviving. Understand what I'm saying? So maybe to cut its meat. You know what I mean? They were conscious of the fact that, yo, my teeth are not enough. And they're not sharp enough, so I'm not gonna keep sharpening my teeth because that's messing up with my, you know what I'm saying, chemistry of like my brain and all of that, you know, all that sharp towards the brain, unhealthy food, you know what I'm saying? They were getting smarter. They were like, yo, nah, I can chop this to be able to cut through the flesh of this animal as I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, bro. Still not in agreement with, like, oh, I'm still not convinced that, like, human beings are derived, like, really like this. I don't know. But, yo, for what it's worth, man, these guys, bro, they ended up being smart in, like, wait.
The answer may be very simple.
What's that?
They thought they looked good. And so, why would Homo erectus make symmetrical artifacts? Facts. The answer may be very simple. They thought they looked good.
Oh shit.
The symmetry of hand axes and the near perfection of the stone spheres suggests that Homo erectus may have appreciated aesthetics for its own sake. And yet, Homo erectus brains were often considerably smaller than our own. Although there was a lot of diversity in their brain size throughout time and across space, as you might expect for such a long-lived and widespread species, Homo erectus brain volumes averaged around 900 cubic centimeters. Modern human brains, meanwhile, average around 1200 cubic centimeters. Although, what matters more than size is structure and organization. Endocasts, which show the internal shape of the skull, demonstrate that Homo erectus brains already had a lot in common with our own, including enlarged frontal lobes, which house the prefrontal cortex, one of the regions Cork and Crick believe is critical for consciousness and which is most associated with planning, decision-making, and social behavior.
There we go. There we go.
At the same time, though, there were structural differences.
Let's get into it.
Homo erectus brains lacked some of the complexity and expanded surface area seen in Homo sapiens. This likely meant less capacity for rapid symbolic communication, fine-grained memory, or the subtle layering of abstract thought on which culture depends. In short, Homo erectus minds may not have been filled with the same constant dialogue and recursive imagination that define our experiences of consciousness.
So you're telling me they weren't like plagued with you know, pretty much scrambling for their future, you know what I'm saying, and family planning, you know what I mean, and all the nigga getting a degree, you know what I'm saying, to secure maybe you being able to feed yourself one day. Like maybe that's the arrive there. Because, like, the human life, you know, because of how the human has developed, has become so complex, dog. So therefore, the human has to deal with a heavier load. As an example, maybe that's why the head became bigger, dog. You know what I'm saying? Mr. and Mrs. Huge Head. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, it is what it is. It's what nature has calmed down to. Yeah, as a result, man, it's like, yo, these guys were not concerned too much about, like, yo, wealth building and, you know what I'm saying, new forms of survival, you know, just switching up on you like that.
Today,
Pretty consistent in their ways.
and yet, if Homo erectus could make art, their subjective experience was certainly not the same as a bee rolling a wooden ball.
Right.
Their brains suggest a consciousness that was recognizably human in its foundations. Perhaps they lived slightly more in the present moment than we do.
That's what I'm telling my audience, history of humankind. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we just like uptight with things, bro. They were just like purely living in the moment. Human beings, they live in the past so much and they live in the future so much that that's where we now get concepts of like maybe depression, right? And anxiety, like intense like anxiety disorders, things like, yeah, things like disorders, bro. You know what I mean? And it's because, yeah, the memory bank also has a whole lot to do with that. And the memory bank is part of, like, you know, where the brain stores some stuff too. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what part in the brain exactly, but where the memory stays. You know what I'm saying? Being plagued by maybe traumas of old. You know what I mean? Even just like pleasant moments of old. You know what I'm saying? End up living for those, and then, you know what I mean? You live for those, and then by default you start constructing your future. Like, you live for your future, and then it's like, yo, it is what it is. It's what we've come to, but that's where you get, like, a whole bunch of humans are not in the moment, like, you know what I'm saying, enough for them to even understand, you know, their entire chemistry as themselves. They don't know themselves because, you know what I'm saying, you are absent of yourself, right?
But on this evidence, we can speculate that they still carried minds capable of reaching beyond the immediate into symbolism, aesthetics, and intentional creation.
Right.
It seems at least the beginning of higher order consciousness dates to well over 1 million years ago, and may have first evolved in our Homo erectus ancestors. And if we trace our lineage forwards, we can also find clues that our advancing cognition was helping us to survive. Our story now takes us to a collection of waterlogged fossils near Kalambo Falls in Zambia.
Hey, what happened?
This site has been dated to around 470,000 years ago, around 150,000 years earlier than the oldest Homo sapien fossils.
Right.
So it would appear the minds at work here are not yet of our species. No bones have been discovered at this site, but Homo erectus, Homo heidelbergensis, and Homo naledi are possible contenders. Or perhaps it was an as yet unidentified hominin species. This find
Homo naledi. Wait, let me double check on that Homo naledi joint, because Homo naledi is actually like a common name out here in South Africa, bro. Wait. Homo naledi speak. Homo naledi is an extinct species of archaea discovered inside that. What the fuck, bro? Golly, bro, get out of here, bro. Nigga, naledi is literally a present day name used to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people give their girl children. Hold on, let me just switch this light on. I'll be switching it up. Yeah, yo, a whole lot of an get into. But naledi, you know what I'm saying? It's like girl children out here get given that name. Hold on. Africa is a unique mix of modern traits. Yo, I'm literally not kidding. Yo. What is saying? The name Naledi is of Southern African origin, meaning that primary brightness, hope, and guidance. That's what the name means, right? Bro, literally, it's present day, bro. Homo Naledi, bro. I thought that was a shot, bro. That shit is reality. That's crazy.
It has changed how I think about our early ancestors, said Professor Larry
Shout out all
Barham.
my Naledies out there, bro. My sisters out there, bro. Beautiful, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro.
Leader of the research team. For here in Zambia, he found the earliest evidence for structural use of wood in the archaeological record. Our ancestors were building. 2 wooden logs were uncovered, lying at right angles, with a notch cut into the upper log that allowed them to slot together, much like the logs of a wooden cabin. It's hard to tell what sort of structure it might have been, remarked Professor Jeff Duller. It might be some sort of structure to sit beside the river and fish. We may never know exactly what the structure was or what it was used for. Possibly for fishing, storage, sleeping, or other activities.
Possibly.
But what we can be relatively sure of is that a species that existed before our own used their consciousness to create something that likely aided their survival. Professor Barham concluded, they used their intelligence, imagination, and skills to create something they'd never seen before.
There we go.
Something that had never previously existed. And so it would seem that we can look to human species other than our own.
But that nose is pissing me off, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Yo, this nose is pissing me off, bro. Shout out Bruce, drop him off, but y'all know how people can get online, dog. Why would you design something like that when somebody like Bruce drop him off still exists? Let's go at what he does, dog. Y'all be creating designs that make like people, you know what I'm saying, disrespect people that they look up to, bro. Stop that shit, bro. Are you sure that they noses like that? Man, y'all claim y'all only found the fossils. You know what I'm saying? Not like the real body organs.
And find what might be signs of
things, and what y'all imagining is offending other people. Potentially. I would say potentially. Allegedly. Alright, let me just...
art or ownership, as well as planning and design. Yet as remarkable as these cognitive capacities were, they also raise profound questions about what truly set Homo sapiens apart.
What was it?
We are, after all, the only remaining hominin species on the planet, and our specific quality of consciousness likely had a major part to play in our survival.
Seriously.
So what explosions of consciousness, culture, and creativity took shape solely within our own lineage?
Now, I ain't gonna lie, great question right there. And great question right there. But at the same time, we need to hit, our sponsors real quick before we commence, so that everything can be, nice and smooth, by the